What?
Hello. Yeah, we're live.
Hello, I gotta put my phone on silent so we don't get any interruptions. I haven't been here in a while. I'm excited to be back.
I know. It was kind of weird not having you last week.
I'm sure you were
You had such
devastated.
a nice element. I was devastated. Maureen was awesome. She was good.
She was. It was. You
it
guys
was
did a really good job. And I only shed a few tears that I couldn't join in because I was up here in romper room.
Oh, yeah. George, what's up? What's up, buddy? Siegs, what's up, kid? It was nice to see Siegs. I'd seen him up at Districts. It was cool to catch up with him. But then...
Your straw's pretty good.
Oh, it is cool.
It's a silicone straw.
Julie, nice.
Trying to save the environment.
Joseph, what up? Tammy, hello. Jeff, hi, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, so we kind of thought today, guys, the biggest thing tryout season is here right now, and it's pure chaos, right? Morning. Chris, what's up, buddy? What's up? Hey, Coach Chris, congrats, brother. Nice big EHL championship.
Whoa,
one of the good guys out there. Yeah,
nice.
That was awesome to hear. Runs a great program up there. Very happy to see that for them and the success they're having first years. It's pretty awesome.
8 tryouts, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, exactly. Hate tryouts, no doubt.
Tryout season is interesting.
It is interesting.
It's like a whole season in and of itself.
Yeah.
And we were just talking before we went live that it's like the beginning of tryout season just seems to be creeping up earlier and earlier, that you don't even get to finish your season.
I know. It is wild,
it's nuts. Like, it's ridiculous to me. I don't understand at all. Like, some of these teams are still playing, and yet they have to go try out for
the older teams, organizations, they still have nationals and all that stuff. And well, it's happening more with the younger. They're doing it for like Mike Squirt's He's under.
So what's the rush?
No, because the rush is right at the faster I can get you in, the faster I can get you doing all of our summer stuff, all the things we have going. Like it's changed from time. Like I remember, when I was younger, and I know, Chris and the guys.
That was like a long
Nick,
time
what's up, buddy? Joe.
When you were younger?
Joe.
A long time ago.
Yeah, that was very long ago.
You walked uphill both ways to the rink.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You didn't have wheels on your hockey bag.
Yeah, exactly. That's how nuts it was. But no, it was a different time where I remember we had tryouts in August, and it was like, okay, you tryouts, bam, time to go. Here we go. It's time to get after and play the season. So it's so funny when I tell the players about that. I talk to students about that. I say, hey, like this is how it used to be. They're like, no way. Like they're like, it's completely right. It's like having life without a phone, right? It's like, no, there's no way there was no internet back then. Oh yeah, no, it's true.
I like how the only not the positive to it being this early, because really I think it's way too early. But I do think it's nice a little earlier than August because you get your chance to get your team together, start to gel and all that.
Yeah, I love how Chris said it. Right, it should happen until mid-July. Exactly. Right, you bring them in at that point. You have time to train. It's like you're gonna have a 6-week training camp, get the season going. But I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's exactly a great time because people get over holidays usually happen July 4th. Everyone's kind of in that mode. School is finishing up. There's a lot of those things that go on. But it's crazy of like, again, right? The system, what's happening is because there's this competitive bubble that keeps happening up. I got to get ahead of it. It's business, right? It's a big business now. A lot of money involved. So if I lose players, especially now, right? There's so many at the tier 1 level, so many tier 1 options now. We talk about all the time how it's completely diluting what's going on in the area. People always, it's like they hit it, everyone knows it, but everyone's struggling with keeping up with it. Right? In our area alone, right? We're talking about the Philly area alone.
So many thoughts.
Yeah, the Philly area alone, right? If you actually had just 2 teams, maybe even 3, but if you just, let's say 2 teams or 3 teams that were going at it instead of 8 that are all around here.
Well, when they were younger, they were actually being developed.
Well,
there's an idea, but that's another
Boom.
thing. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that it wouldn't have to be so diluted. Everybody could be good because if everyone was actually spending time on actual development when they're younger. But we don't want to digress today. But one of the things made me think of is this, because it is competitive, right? So coaches get competitive, owners get competitive, parents, we get competitive. And you got to love the stories, right, that start to come out. So, the super team. This organization at my kid's age level is going to have a super team. And it's like...
Super team.
What the hell is that?
This whole super team concept.
And it's all, based on 10,000 what-ifs.
Right.
If this player comes from here, and if the sun aligns itself over there, then our team is going to be a sure thing.
Just the manipulation, the lies. Like this one parent, hits me up and is telling me, "Oh, I heard that." Well, I heard they're saying a parent calls and says,
"Those are things to be mindful of."
Right, exactly.
They never knowing who they is.
They're saying that this kid's coming over there. This kid's coming. They're going to play in the big showcase. They're going to play this. Okay, well, do you officially know? Are those kids actually coming, number one? Or are they just saying that? How many times I've caught people at organizations straight up talking to organizational coaches, lying, straight up lying to me. I'll never forget examples of that, of like, oh, yeah, we've got this team. We're going to have this team coming in. These guys are going to join our league. These guys are going to join.
Showcase, we've got everybody.
Oh, no problem. Okay, thanks. Yeah, give me a couple days. Hey, buddy, I heard you guys are going to do this thing that you guys are going to be a part of it. No. We told him that we're waiting, but no, we can't do that this year. Okay, thanks. Yeah, he's full of shit. He's a liar.
Well, my goal for today is that we just don't rant at you about all the bullshit going on, but that we actually can bring it back to something that's helpful.
That was the point. Right.
Yes. Well, I'm trying to read it in up here chirping at me.
Coffee's kicking in now.
I'm on my second cup already, so I'm
just
a
lot
little
of
ahead of you.
Exactly, Nick.
But as parents, right, we want to be able to help and we want to be able to educate you on, because we can't stop the chatter. It's going to go on no matter what. And, it's important that how can a parent, what's some of the top advice that you give your parents that we work with in our program? Yeah.
So the first thing is always with the chatter, right, is that what works for one does not mean it works for another, especially once you start to get older. Once I start to see that U14, U15, 16 ages, where it's like, just because this kid's following this path does not mean that's the best path for you and your kid, right?
Well, so that means that at what age, and I was thinking about this the other day, but at what age, because I think we have people here from all different ages, is it okay for your kid to still want to be with their friends?
Yeah.
To when it needs to kind of
more
turn
competitive.
When it's like, you know what, I know you love playing with so-and-so, but the time has come.
Right.
When does that?
By the time you hit that U15 is 15. What historically the experience has shown, is that by the time you're hitting, so that's always like the AA kids. I'd always say to them, you could play till U14. You're fine in that environment as long as, hey, it's a good team, it's competitive, you're still developing, you're still working, you're training, you're doing off-season, couple showcases, just to make sure you're staying in the loop. But I've seen great examples of guys, right, that came through and they were fine. But U15 midgets is where it begins of like, all right, because it's all cultural, right? You have to start learning what the environment is like, right? You have to start to understand there's a lot of pressure involved in this. There's a major commitment involved to this. There's a lot of work, right, that's involved. And you're going to get judged, all these different things. So like, you got to start getting used to that, because it's not an easy thing to get through, where if you don't start that till 16, 17, the problem is, oh my God, the coach is playing these guys. Coach isn't playing me. I don't understand what to do. Like, there's all these things that start to happen where if you get too old in the process, you're not getting that time experience of, well, wait a second, I can make mistakes. I can feel fear. I can learn, figure it out. There's a lot of that experience that really means a lot, that tier 1 environment of where it's tough like that.
But if you're 10, go live it up.
I do it. How many times? People always tell us what we're going to do with our own kids, and we tell them all the time, it's like, through 10 years old, they're going to play A, B, I don't care. As long as kids are having fun and they're developing, the rest of the stuff is all that matters. All the other craziness, but that's a whole other story. But yeah, when they're younger, 100%, there's way more wiggle room. When you turn about that midget age, U16, U15, in there, you have to be a part of an environment now that, if in my mind, I want to play NCAA college hockey. If I know that at a minimum, I want to play college hockey, well, then you have to be in an environment that's going to start to produce you for that environment. Because you're looking at now, right, it's all time related. Education, why does high school go for 4 years? Why does college go for 4 years? But you have to go 5, 6 years, whatever it is. But you see the pattern of, it's shown and proven, right, why it takes 3, 4 years of work to do something. It's the same thing of why midgets is important for that. U15, U16, U18, it's all that progression of, you get your 4 years. You get your 4 years. And that's pretty much where I've seen is that part is definitely on that side. So from a parent standpoint, it's looking at it of like, yeah, if I'm going to start this process and I'm going to get going, it always has to come back to, all right, well, what do I need first? What is important for me? What's non-negotiable for me? So if it's things like, hey, you know what, right now I'm not ready for my kid to travel, fine. then if they're not going to travel, then what are the things then in these places? And when I mean travel, leaving home, a lot of players now leave home when they take off and all that stuff. But that's the part, right? It's like leaving home, right? Is that an option? Is that even something you're open to? A lot of families are not, so that's fine. So if you're not, well, then locally you have to then pick, all right, well, what am I looking for? Am I looking for the development, right? Am I looking for the competition, right? Am I looking for more playtime, right? A lot of people get all weird about that, but like at the end of the day, you know what? We see it all the time of like, as an example with goalies, and some of our goalies are where it's happened, where it's like, hey, the best thing for goalies that they can do is, you know what do you think it's going to help you playing on a top team when you're barely going to receive any shots? When you're younger, especially if you can invest, go play on a freaking bad team that plays in a good league, whatever it is, but you know they're not going to be like the top team, whatever it is, and go get a freaking ton of shots. You're going to develop. It's going to be awesome for you. Be the savior. But
you can hear all of these differences that are so minute that really it's what makes sense to you and your family. It really truly is a player and family decision. And that's why, like, we hear the stories of a parent that calls and they're like, oh my God, this parent's telling me X, Y, and Z.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the first thing I say is stop. Where's that parent's kid playing? Right. So they're trying to recruit you to their team, most likely. So they're like an extension of the coaching staff, trying to say, come over here. The grass is so green. You know, the sun's so bright. It's wonderful. But what's good for their kid may not be what's right for your kid. You know, some parents may have the ability to take their kid 2 hours each way to practice during the week. But a lot of people, like to me, that's insane.
Right.
You know, and what that does to your family life may be one of your non-negotiables. And I don't blame you for 1 second at all. But
for some, they're totally cool with it.
Yeah, some are fine. Some it works. It works with all their kids or their business or whatever's going on. So it's important to really figure out what's going on there. What are your considerations that are both on ice and off ice? Like, what's important for you?
Exactly.
And then when the chatter comes in and they're trying to sell you hard, whether it's a coach or another parent, or it's like, oh, everybody's going here, that team's going to suck, that you do your own research too. I think that's what you were saying in your story. Pick up the phone if you have questions.
Exactly. And that leads to the second part, right? It's like, once you know what your non-negotiables are, and you start to figure out what kind of experience overall, from travel to competition, whatever it is, and now you're down to a couple of picks. Well, now it's your job to go in and ask good questions and ask, what do you guys offer? And Julia, we're going to get to your question here as well. We're going to get to the questions, guys. But it's coming down to then go talk. Get it straight from the horse's mouth. Go talk and ask. One of the things we tell our players all the time is, all right, great. This is how you're feeling. These are the scenarios. This is what you're looking for. Awesome. Well, now go sit down with the coaches and talk to them and get a vibe, get a feel for it. Do you feel it's an honest answer? Do you feel you need to ask more of what you're saying doesn't make sense to me? You need to get that vibe. Like one of our players the other day, is thinking about a couple of teams, and we had this great discussion.
It goes into Julie's question too.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going back and forth on this. And it's like, okay, well, we're going back and forth. Well, I'm like, well, wait a second. You're not even giving the team that you were talking to initially even a chance, because he didn't even go and ask and talk to that coach. He just assumed in his mind, well, this is what I think the coach thinks of me. And I'm like, well, hold on. If that's what you think, but do you know? Well, I don't actually know. I'm like, well, there's the biggest issue right there. It's your job to know. So when you're going through that process, guys, you have to go know and talk straight to them, not to other parents, not making decisions based off of what they're saying and doing, but based off of, I'm talking to you, you're the organizational leader, you're saying this, this, and this. How does it apply to me? How do you feel about me? I need to get that thing, play for that feeling, right? I need to get that vibe of, come on, let's talk. And now, as a human being, I'm going to get a sense. Mom and dad, right, whoever it is, the player, we're all going to get our own sense by asking good questions. But those questions have to come from knowing, what do you need? Why do you need it? And get as specific as you can, because that's what's giving you the answers, right? But just because they're saying we're going to play in great showcases, we're going to have all the best development, all that stuff, that's all fine and dandy. But how does that apply to me? Where do you see me fitting into that puzzle?
Coach sees you as a totally different kind of player than how you see yourself. Because then you need to figure out, well, is that something that I'm willing to do? Could my game progress in that way? Or as well, this guy does not, this is not the right move for me. But now is the time to ask the questions, not once you've already signed the contract and now you're stuck and you're like, oh my God, this guy thinks I'm that kind of player when that's not me at all. So it's so important to know and not think you know.
One of the tools I use with our guys is very simple. Make sure we walk them through this part of the process and they understand, right? And we're so adamant about at this point is to make sure that all of these questions, all these things are lined up now, Because then, how many times when the season starts, September, October, November, I get that call, the complaining call begins, and before they can even utter the words out of their complaint, did you or did you not? And before I can even finish my sentence, because they've already been trained and they understand it, you're right, coach. Yep. But because when you make that decision, you're clear with it. You're in that mode right now. But when you're clear with it and you made that choice, you're living with it, period. And so if you didn't do your homework, if you didn't ask the questions, if you didn't have, and then something else pops up later on, well, then what are you holding them accountable to? If they changed it up and they did something totally different, well, the only way you're holding an organization accountable to that is their word. Well, wait a second. I asked you this back then. You had said this. Now I'm trying to understand why everything changed. Now accountability kicks in. Now you can hold the organization accountable. But most of the times, this is where I see the issues come in, is that you didn't go in knowing specifically, I asked these things. Then when things change up, well, did you ask before you went in? No, it sounded so good. Well, you don't have a right to complain.
Not for nothing. Anyone can make something sound good.
It's amazing. How many of these freaking, exactly.
I think he got, me.
Exactly. I was like, come on, baby, come on. I worked my butt off for you.
Yeah, for like a couple of months. 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Julie says, do tryouts ever become not political and actually about the talent of the player? And what's fascinating, right? And Julie, this is where you have to go with it. Politics are just another word of saying connections, relationships, right? Let's call that what it is. Everyone, we label it and we put different forms on what it is. But what I've learned through the years, right, is that politics, however we want to put it, at the end of the day, if you have relationships with people and you feel strongly about certain things, that can be politics, right? That's just how it goes. But the nature, I think, what you're referring to is that just because it's somebody's kid and I got to do a favor and all that stuff. Again, right? All depends on organizations and how it goes, of where doing the homework and who's leading. And that's the toughest part with it, right? So about the talent of the player, unfortunately, what ends up happening is there's times where, like as an example, I've had that where I've let go of Division I players, point blank. We're going to play on my U18 team, 2 players at point blank. The way those season went, the environment we were in, I look and I go, you know what? You don't fit the culture. This is where, you know what? Hey, we have a junior A option over here. We got a junior B option over here. You can go there. I don't have a spot for you on that part. And these were the rock stars, talent-wise, because at that time felt it was the best move to make. Now, that's something that I personally do. I've never, when it comes to the high-end guys and all that stuff, I've never been the coach that, hey, I'm kissing your butt. I'm going to let you do whatever you want. My style has always been, you come to me, I'm still going to make you better. I don't care how good you are. My job is still to figure out how to make you better. So I never gave that free reins, and that's personal choice of how I operate. Yeah. But knowing the organizations, how other organizations operate, that's the tough part. That's such a tough question of when you ask, does it ever become not?
Well, to some degree, yes, but so to me, stats don't lie. If there's a team that year after year after year is highly competitive, then they're doing something right. Yeah. So they're most likely, not in every situation, but they're most likely then going by talent. Yeah. And again, talent doesn't always mean taking the best players, which was your point. Talent is what fits the coach's formula for what they believe is winning, their winning formula for success. Right. So, but I think at the younger ages, you would see it's like high school. It's like BS, but I think the older you get and the more competitive the environment, the program, or the team is in, the less likely you're going to find those situations, because those showcases and those leagues that are hard to get into,
you have to be good enough.
You have to be good enough. Yeah. If you go and embarrass yourself and you're lucky enough to get a second try at it and you embarrass yourself again, then as an organization, you're not going to be welcome back to that event again. So the older you get, I would say that does change. Yeah. That it's probably at that level.
It's a great way of putting that out there. Exactly. As you get older, no doubt about it, the best are the best. You can't play in USHL, NA. You can't fake your way into those leagues if you can't perform, because they're performance-based, right? Is that you can't do that. So, eventually you get any league's top teams, right? Like Coach Chris there, to play on his team and all that. He knew he had an identity of what he was looking for, right? Any great coach has an identity of, I'm looking for this specific thing. So to answer, yes, eventually the politics do play out. When you're younger, though, the stories you hear at squirts, peewees, it's insane. Wow, I don't like being here, and it's amazing what goes on.
Or a troubled coach or a troubled parent ends up becoming a coach. I mean, there's lots of levels.
Lots of moving pieces to that. So, yeah, to answer it, as you get older, no doubt, it definitely changes. But when you're younger, it's a more slippery slope, unfortunately. It's just the way it goes. That's the youth realm. It's just how it goes. Chris, actually, Joe's, do you have a better chance as a top 6 forward on a weaker team or 7, 8, 9 on a strong team? Right. He's pointing out, right, the idea is that, Joe's pointing out is that do you have a better chance to play? Period, end of story, right? If you know you can play on a team and you're going to develop, especially at the younger levels, when you're youth, the more you play, the better you're going to get. Playing on these super teams and just because you're practicing with that team, and that's going to go into Chris's question there, but like to say that, right, to put yourself in a situation where, well, I get to practice with these guys, it's going to be really good for me. At the end of the day, no. The reality is if you're not playing at all, that is not good for a young organism. A young organism, you have the time because, again, we've talked about it so many times, the college coaches, the scouts, everybody is not watching when you're younger. It doesn't matter when you're younger. I laugh when I hear rankings and all these other things. None of it matters. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme. All right, so Joe bring that, but Chris asks, right, and you think it's safe to say when the players are younger, let the kid play where he wants, where you have fun and develop, and not because it's A, AA, AAA. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
As long as it meets the family's
the family's right.
guidelines.
But the kid wants to play once. That's the power. That's what he's getting at right there. Is if that's what's going to get the most out of you, you know what? I'm playing on a B team, A team, and I'm scoring a ton of goals. But I love always going there, and it's creating confidence in the kid. And the kid loves it, and the kid gets to hold on and do all kinds of things that the kid isn't used to doing. Yes, that's what you want. But if it's an environment where the kid goes and I'm not playing a lot, and again, this is the argument I always make, is that the nervous system, right, is that when you put that pressure on a kid too young, and now you're making them at 10, 11, 12, be too competitive, and think about these things, when at 14 it's going to happen naturally, that's where the issue lies with that. So the more you can be in an environment when you're younger, to have a good time, feel it. And then later on, okay, you know what? This isn't challenging enough. Let me go to the next level. You know what? Oh, this is challenging enough. That's the stuff that you can start to read through, because even kids that rip it up, if it's too easy, they're not happy with it either, and they want to move up themselves. So
that was going to be my question.
The nature works itself out as time goes on. Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Ask them if they want the challenge, though.
Yeah, exactly.
But as a parent, do you bring it up? Like, hey, you did really, really, like, you were one of the top guys this year. Do you want to consider trying out?
100%. And most of the kids do that. Most of the kids naturally they do that. If it's too easy, they don't. There isn't that thing of if it's too easy, I want to stay there. I've seen a couple of cases through the years, but
where they're afraid.
Well, no, not afraid. There was one case in particular. It was the kid was involved in other sports, and hockey wasn't the main sport. Hockey wasn't the main thing. So the kid had so it was like, hey, if the hockey's not the main thing, sure, you know what? I'm doing this. I love still playing, but my main thing was gymnastics, or for this kid's, it was soccer at the time. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? You're doing it as a thing. Didn't want the pressure of the environment. Absolutely. Sure. You go for it, right? And you do it. So no doubt about it, right? It all depends on level-wise, and all that is a huge one. I see in all ages, Joseph, too many people believe, right, in the check, entitles them to change coaches' minds and team direction. Absolutely. A lot of money. Coach Carl, what's up, buddy? A lot of money involved in this game, guys. There's no doubt about it. You get the parent that, you know what, can help me out. I'm going to take this parent on my team because this parent has money, has businesses, and you know what, politically, this could be a good move for me on that part. 100%. That kind of crap definitely goes on in relationships.
But as parents, and if you know instead of think you know, as parents, when you go into a situation, yes, you're a customer, you're a client, you deserve to be made happy, but that does not give you the right to then go in, as long as that coach hasn't changed what they said,
right? It
doesn't give you the right to be like, I own you. And you need to know that going in. They're going to explain to you that's why we say no, don't think. Go and talk to them so you're under the agreement. But just because you write that organization a check, and then, maybe the team isn't gelling the way the coach thought it would or whatever, and they have to do, at the end of the day, you're part of hiring them to do the job.
Exactly.
But you need to let them do their job.
Exactly.
And unless there's like a crazy extenuating circumstance, you're always entitled, I think, to somewhat of an explanation is what's going on. But for the most part, just because you write a check does not mean that you get to go in there and say to coach, I'm going to lay down the law here.
Exactly.
Because you're along for the ride. You're part of the team. You've agreed to play on that team. And if you got sold on a bunch of bullshit, the only person that you really have to blame is yourself. If you didn't do your homework and you didn't find out to know instead of think, you have to accept accountability. You have to accept where you're at. So there's two sides to that point.
And the levels, right? What you just explained is exactly the levels, right, of the layers, right? So we explain this all the time. of our private clients that come on board with us, right, is that the team is the team. Coach has the philosophy, right? When you're on a team environment, you're doing the coach's direction. This is where I'm steering the ship. An analogy I always use, right? It's like creating a movie. The season is like creating a 6-month, 7-month movie that we're all going into this together, right? And I'm the director, right? You guys are the producers, right? But I'm directing this ship, but you guys are going to be the producers, and you're going to produce what we're going to go with here. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at it from the scope of building it as a team, not from an individual standpoint. As an individual, I'm giving you nuggets, and I'm telling you, here's what I need you to do individually, here's what I need you to do, and I'm working with that, but I can't put that consistent time into you individually that you need, right? And that's how I was able to step into what we do, right, for our players is we tell coaches all the time, anyone we work with, we let them know we're an extension of what you need. So whether it's talking to the coach to make sure to find out what's going on, checking in, asking the player, hey, ask these questions, what's your role, what's the language, and then we work around that, and I help you out personally on that part, but you're not signing up. When you sign up, you're not signing up for just me. You didn't sign up for an individual program, for an individual education. You signed up for a team-based education. And those are two different worlds. Having somebody privately work with you individually versus somebody working with you in a team environment are two completely different worlds, completely. And no one's figured it out. You see at the college levels, yes, they give players more time, more individual attention. Their budgets are different. They have more money to do that. They have more time to do that. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's a totally different thing. At the professional, it's all the same thing. But at the younger, even at junior levels and all that, you don't have the time to do. You don't have the staff. You don't have the amount of people to do everything as big as your heart is to do it. Right? That's why there's that need of having that personal attention, having somebody in your corner, helping you understand how to fit into that puzzle, right, and make it work. And that's the parts that a lot of parents, they think, right, they go in, and because I'm investing, well, that means you should be taking care of everything, team coach. It's not realistic. It's not realistic.
But so at tryouts, yes, your skill set is being evaluated. Yeah. But at the end of the day, when you join a team, you sign a contract. And a contract is between two parties.
Exactly.
So you're both agreeing to something. Yes.
Yeah. No, don't get the J.
Yeah. But I'm saying like you both agree. So if you just do your due diligence, make sure you want to be a part of the team that is this coach's vision, and like really look through all the BS. Yeah. Look through the shiny objects. Oh, this showcase, that showcase, because if that coach doesn't really have plans to play you, then it doesn't matter what showcase you're going to.
Exactly.
So just make sure that it's a contract and you're entitled to not like it and move on and find somewhere else. But know what your role, or at least from the start, is and what communication you have with that coach. It's a two-way contract. It's not just like you signing your life away to this team. It's to be part of that coach's system. And at tryouts is the time you get to say yes or no.
Exactly. 100%.
It's not, and just because you're dying to make, and I want to say, like, just because you're dying to make a AAA team doesn't mean that AAA team, if you make it, is what's best for you.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean that coach is a good coach. 100%. Doesn't mean that's the right situation for you. So yeah, it's good to want to move up and hit that goal, but still, it doesn't trump everything else from it not making sense for you and your family. And I think it's important we get like kind of swept away. Like just because
of course
you get into
or
just because you get into an Ivy League school, maybe you don't want to go to an Ivy League school. Like, yeah, just because you can get in doesn't mean maybe
that's the environment that you want to be a part of.
That's the environment you want to be a part of. So it's just, it's so hard to get swept away where it's about, oh, I'm just trying to make it. I'm just trying to make it. And I've seen this apply not just to players, but as coaches. Oh, I just want to go coach at a high level program or something like that. But like, take ownership that it's your life and that it may or may not be what's best for you. And have an open mind. Just because something has the right letter on it does not mean that might be the best fit for you, and that you should throw out everything else that's on your list of non-negotiables just because that team's like AAA or what, or oh, they're supposed to be one of the best. Exactly. It still has to be the best for you. Yeah. So I just wanted to
exactly, and that's the tough part, right? That's the tough part for people to understand is that's the part, right? I feel like FOMO. I feel like I'm missing out on something if I don't do this. Well, this person, right? Following. Oh, well, that parent whose kid is committed told me this. Well, that must mean that's going to be the same thing that's going to happen for my kid. These are all the things that go down that are the issues, right, in the industry. But this is why there's such an important part to understanding yourself, right? Understanding what you really want. More than ever, in today's world, more than ever, right? And that's why we love doing what we do, because it's helping people truly identify that and understand the steps of what needs to be done for me personally. Clearing away the noise and knowing what do I need first. That's what matters, because what I need first is going to make me happy, help me understand, asking the right questions, changes my whole experience. But if all I keep doing is following and not paying attention to what I need, but just following because of what others are doing, you get screwed in the process.
Life is too short, and you want to be on the other end of next hockey season being like, wow, that flew by, that was fun. Not, oh my God, this was the longest season ever. Yeah. So, but we got to
go. Jay, great question. This is awesome. Yep. Then my son is a junior at a New England prep school. I had been a 3-year regular shift kid, right? So playing all the time. Was top 10 in points for the year as a junior. Fantastic, right? It's great. My question is, I see that kids are committing to college. That honestly, I scratch my head at how, right? Yep. I'm not sure what we need to do to get some looks for college, what the next steps are, what do we need to do, if anything, right? I'm constantly dealing with this type of question, right, from players all the time, younger players, older, right, of being in that frame of mind of, oh my God, what do I need to do to get the scouts' attention? It always comes down to this, developmentally, is making sure that you are still the best player out there, period, end of story. And the numbers that you're putting up is obviously showing, yeah, you're doing your work. I'm willing to bet anything there's somebody looking at you, and right now, because as a junior, you're still young. Like, so many people don't realize that when you see these younger players, there's so many different parts to this moving puzzle. Like, as an example, guys, one of the things that I see politically, bringing it back, right, that happens, you know how many times I've seen that an older brother gets the commitment and then the younger one gets the commitment, and or vice versa, whatever it is, and it's because of the politics of it. Yep. Is the other kid belong, and should they be getting the commitment? When other people look around, and we all know behind closed doors, everyone's talking about like, that kid's not good enough to be there. Like, that doesn't. But we all know, well, if you want that kid, you're going to take my other son too. It goes on. It's happened. So the head scratchers are all over the place. But at the end of the day, too many people put an emphasis of getting committed early. Everyone thinks that it's going to happen at 15, 16 because you see that it happens to a certain number. And again, some of the top programs, absolutely. Higher end teams, yes. Do they commit earlier? Absolutely. The keeping up with the Joneses thing is real. It goes on, all that stuff. But for the most part, decommitting is bigger than ever. That's happening now, right? Where players now are, you know what, you're not good enough. So decommitting is happening, and that's opening up space. But then on the other side, it's still happening where guys are still 18, 19, are still getting committed just as much as the younger guys. It's still happening, and it's not ending. So, you know, Jay, the biggest thing I'll say on that part is that if that's what he's doing, from a mindset perspective, don't get caught up into the whole process of college, what can I do? What can I do more? Making sure, are you in a good organization? You know, again, is it quality? You know, is it finding out, hey, have any schools inquired? Has anyone asked about me? Right? Finding out more about that, because if that's happened, if they're saying, yeah, listen, they like you, they're still watching you, players need to listen to that, because it's a real thing that goes on. It's like, you know, I've got plenty of guys that they're on the radar. You're on the radar. They're watching you. They want to see how you progress. How many players I have that are youth players that they struggle with when I tell them, hey, they want to see you at juniors. They want to see what you're going to look at the next level. They want to see what you're going to look at the North American League. You know,
not for nothing. That's doing everyone a favor.
Yeah, of course. I want to know, can you handle
being like, you know, 16 or whatever it is, and trying to decide where I want to go to school. Like, I can't even decide what shirt I want to buy at the mall. Like, no, but it's true.
It's like a diner menu.
It's like a big commitment of where you're going to go to school. Like, if you don't have a clue what major you want to be, or like, there's so many things, big school, small school, just because like and I think we could do, we'll do a whole show on this very topic.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it's like,
and Jay,
don't be in the rush.
No, exactly. Finish your thought. But Jay, if it's a little bit more private stuff, right, matters, and that goes for anybody on that end, right? Just shoot me a private message if you want to ask more questions on and all that stuff. But it's a great question, and I hope, you know, that ended up helping you out. But go ahead, sorry.
No, it's okay. The only other thing I was going to mention is grades.
Yeah.
I mean, it matters. It really matters. And you may, and parents are kind of like, that's what I keep saying. No, seriously, it seriously matters. It seriously matters for prep school, and it seriously matters for college. That's a non-negotiable. So when you're thinking, I'm going to go drive 2.5 hours each way to practice, and that means my kid has no time for homework, you need to think about that, because the grades are they will halt your dreams faster than anything, because you could be the best freaking player, but
well, I mean, you have to be special. For them to bend the rules, you have to be a special player, and even then, it's still difficult.
It's creating a hassle. So if you're not that special, they're going to just be like, I'm not touching that. I don't feel like going to bat with the school over that. So keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a huge point. How many times? I remember one in particular case I'm thinking about. He had a 3-3. Kid was a star, rock star. Ended up getting drafted, NHL, the whole nine. hammering the schools, hammering some of the big names across the head. This kid, he's a freaking NHL player, blah, blah. Because that 3-3, they were so turned off. A 3-3. They were so turned off by it. Well, but if you're talking 3-5, 3-6, you start going up higher and you can play on top of it. You're writing your own ticket then. Then they're happy, they're excited. Again, there's science to back it up, right? When you have less than a 3-5, I forget what exactly the stats were, but it shows like you're less likely to be engaged at the college level. And so I think all these things are, right? Yeah, these are the things, right, that you have to go off of, right? And that's the reality of grades is a great point. It's a super point because everyone's chasing that organization, but they don't realize you're chasing something that at the end of the day, if you don't have the grades, you're going to put yourself in a terrible position. Because the fact that you're already chasing, you're behind the 8 ball because the top players and the ones that are getting those early commitments aren't chasing anybody. They're the ones being chased, right? So the fact that if you're already in chasing mode already puts you behind. But then if you have grades on top of it that aren't there, great point. Great point.
So I think, great discussion. Thank you.
No, he's the man. Love the,
but I think
straight up love. That's my bromance. There's a couple, but definitely he's one of my boys in the world. Love him.
But to wrap up,
yes,
because I think it's time. We've gone on long enough, right? So you have your non-negotiables and what that means for you and your family.
Yeah.
And then what is it?
One of my old coaches. Marty! Planner, what's up, buddy, Joe?
That know your non-negotiables and what that means for your kid and for you as a family unit, right? What they are. And that will help direct you to kind of block out the chatter that you need to not be listening to. Exactly. Like this parent or
what's your non-negotiables?
Your non-negotiables will help you clear your mind of the chatter. Just stay your course. Don't worry about You need to hear it from a trusted source, and a trusted source is not necessarily just another parent on the team.
Exactly.
Good luck to everybody, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Keep us posted on what's going on out there.
Yeah, definitely keep us updated. And again, guys, anything you have privately, shoot me a message. I'd also love to help out any way that I can on that side. But it's not an easy process. There's a lot of layers that go into this. But at the end of the day, again, it comes back to your personal needs. What do you actually need? And that's a tough part to identify, but that's at the core of all of this. You can make an educated decision, a healthy decision, when you know what you actually need, right? And knowing who am I signing up for, right? What's the history of the organization? What am I getting myself into? And when I know that and you accept it, the good, bad, whatever you want to call it, as long as you know where you're going in and eyes wide open.
If it sounds too good to be true, it is most likely definitely too good to be true.
100%.
That I will tell you.
100%.
Yes. That goes, if it's sounds like it's going to be amazing, let me help you get to the end of the book. It's not how it ends.
Exactly.
It just doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
So I think that's it. I want to say please share this out with anyone on your page. Help us get the word out. If you know anyone else going to tryouts that could benefit from this today, share. And our new Own My Game program has officially launched. We are open. Registration is now open. So if you want to check out and see what's going on, if you're looking, to have kind of that hockey mentor, voila. Check us out, bloodlinehockey.com. Yeah, me too.
Now we have a good crew.
I yell at everybody.
Now it's fun. It's getting fun. We're starting to get really some good people together, and it's nice as we're growing all that stuff. And obviously, I'm not great at the business part of it, of pushing that out, and that's why.
Well, it's going to be a really fun off season with us in our Own My Game group. So lots of announcements coming there. But if you want to make sure you don't miss any of it, check out Correct That Coach, something Vinny wrote to kind of help you probably think about what you want to say to that coach when they're maybe not looking. But bloodlinehockey.com, and that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys. Share.
Yeah.
Share.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one. See you next week.
Later.